terrorists out. That was successful for a while, but then since September 2015, there have been 150 stabbings, and now this. We've not seen this for some time in Israel, I believe.
Well, back when we lived there from 2000 to 2007, that was the height of the second Palestinian uprising known as the Second Intifada. That's when there were almost daily, weekly suicide bombings as well as shootings like this. That, as you mentioned, the rate of those suicide bombings fell dramatically after the building of that controversial wall, which snakes its way along the spine of the West Bank, separating most of the Palestinian areas from Israel. Again, it was controversial, but it did force those suicide bombings to stop for the most part. But as you mentioned, there have been a number of stabbings, especially in the Jerusalem area. In fact, since October, there have been 29 Israelis killed in terror attacks. 2 Americans were killed. In fact, there was an attack in Tel Aviv just on New Year's Day just a few months ago, Stuart.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. As we were saying, lots of tourists and shops, a very busy, casual area. Again, terrorists targeting what was clearly a soft target. On the phone, Robert Strang, the former co-chair of New York's anti-terrorism task force. This is the authorities' worst nightmare, is it not, Robert?
Yes, Stuart. This is the kind of thing where, we worry about all over our own country in terms of a soft target and a shooting like this. There's really no way to stop something like this except when you have good intelligence information ahead of time. Obviously, we've been able to stop incidents like this in New York and other cities in the United States. Israel certainly is a leader when it comes to identifying informants and monitoring very closely these kinds of incidents. But unfortunately, this is the one that slipped through and went into a soft target, was able to kill these innocent people. It's a big fear. It's something that we worry about. It's not something that we can do an awful lot about.
Exactly. An open society is an open, soft target in many respects. There's very little that the authorities can do to head off something like this without very good intelligence. And I'm told that there was no specific terror alert in force before this attack. This is a genuine soft target. And it's a very effective method, mass shooting on a soft target on a lovely summer evening in a crowded market area. That's, dare I say, the perfect target for this kind of terror.
That's how terrorists think. They want to be able to get into a situation where they have the biggest impact, and they can have get the media and have an impact on the community. And this is exactly what's being done here. This is what's happened in Europe. This is what's happened in Paris, in London.
Robert, I'm going to interrupt you for a second because this reminds me very much of the Kenyan Mall attack. Now, that was in the year 2013. Terrorists just walked right into that mall and shot it up. I don't know how many casualties. It was many, many dead. But this reminds me of that. An open target, a soft target, a relatively well-organized group of shooters shooting indiscriminately for some time. This incident today at the Sarona market in Tel Aviv reminds me a lot of what happened back then in 2013.
Yes, very similar. And, when you think about it, there was no, when we go back to that shooting, there was no information ahead of time. That was a terrorist attack that had taken the lives of several people on the spot. There were no individuals. If you remember, there were security guards that were not armed. Very difficult situation. Here in this situation in Israel, at least the initial information we have from Tel Aviv is that there was a civilian who was armed who was able to take action quickly and shoot one of the terrorists. So this is a situation where in Israel, they're very keen and alert and know that this goes on all the time because of the history that they've had in that part of the world. So you have a lot of civilians, ex-military, many people in Israel and Tel Aviv who are armed, who can stop something like this. That's an advantage they have over some place like us in New York City.
In New York City, this is what you worry about in America, is it not? That something similar could happen here in our open society. This is your big concern.
This is our big concern. This is a soft target. This is our big concern. And this is one of those things that slips through. And, that's why we want to be prepared. We want to be able to be aggressive when it comes to our informants and monitoring our intelligence. Because if somebody plans something like this and can pull it off, as they did in Tel Aviv and in other cities around the world, it's a disaster. So we're very fortunate in the U.S. that we have the great intelligence, that we're able to monitor these different frequencies, these different different emails, these different satellite systems that we have in place. We're very aggressive. We continue to be, and we've been able to stop almost every attack similar to this one and to other bombings and other types of attacks in the United States. So
Robert Stranger, thank you very much for your input. Much appreciated. Now, let me set the scene again. This is Tel Aviv. This incident happened between 9:30 and 10 o'clock local time. It is a crowded area, crowded with tourists, people relaxing. It's a social meeting place. It's the Sarona Market. 91 stores, a lot of restaurants, a lot of places to eat and drink and stroll around on a very nice summer evening. Indiscriminate firing from 2 terrorists, 9 wounded, 4 dead as we speak. John Huddy is on the phone from Tel Aviv. The latest, please, John.
Yeah, well, Peter, we are here in what's called Sarona Market. This is in central Tel Aviv, as you described. It's a very busy area, a lot of bars, a lot of restaurants, a lot of stores. And earlier this evening, probably about 2 hours ago, 2 gunmen, 2 Palestinian gunmen, according to our sources, cousins from the Hebron area. Hebron is an area in the West Bank where there's been a lot of violence, actually, where there's daily stabbing attacks near the border there. But this one happened earlier here in Tel Aviv. 2 gunmen opened fire, coming from the Hebron area. What we're hearing at this point is that 3 people were killed, 4 others wounded, possibly 1 in critical condition. Now, another point to it, this happened just on the other side of kind of the plaza here. The large plaza is the IDF headquarters, the Israeli Defense Forces headquarters. And also the Prime Minister's office is nearby. And speaking of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Russia meeting with Vladimir Putin. He just got back this evening, shortly before this happened, and of course raced to a special meeting, an emergency meeting of his cabinet, basically, and security officials. Now, as for being on the scene here, you're right, a beautiful summer evening, probably about 72 degrees, so this area was full of people. And that's when the gunmen opened fire. Clearly, they knew this area. Clearly, they had this area in mind. There are a lot, as you can imagine, of police. They basically shut down all the roads throughout the area surrounding this market. Again, Sarona Market. We see a lot of EMTs. We're also standing very close to where detectives are interviewing